Hey, hello, good morning, and welcome to the AM show. My name is Kojo Yankson. It's been a while since you and I met right here in the studio. But of course, today is a special day. We've got a wonderful lineup coming your way. It's a very amazing day commemorating that ultimate sacrifice that God made for us by sending his only begotten Son to die on the cross and take away our sins. Right. So let's have a quick look at what is happening today on the show. Any minute now.
Some 10,000 additional samples in the coming week to give us a clearer picture to enable us to take a decision on the way forward. It appears that our common efforts have been modestly successful in containing the virus and minimizing the spread. Undoubtedly, the decisions taken from day one to act quickly and decisively and impose what may have seemed like harsh restrictions have now proven to be effective and have saved a lot of lives. However, this fight is not yet over, and we're by no means out of the woods yet.
Yeah, today we'll be talking a lot more about what the president had to say. Electricity tariffs slashed for most people and actually absorbed for others, especially those who are in the lower income brackets. We'll be talking about that and more today on the show. But first, today's message from the morning man, and it's a special one. It's called 3 Trees. There were once 3 trees standing next to each other on top of a hill. Now, as the breeze blew through their leaves, the trees would talk to each other, sharing their hopes and dreams. Now, the first tree would say, my wood will be strong and shiny. Someday, a talented artist will use it to make the most beautiful treasure chest you have ever seen. The second tree would sigh and say in a wistful voice, well, my wood will be long and strong. Someday a master engineer will use it to build the finest, most luxurious ship the world has ever seen. The third tree would sway from side to side and say with conviction, well, I don't want to be cut down. I want to stay right where I am and grow into the tallest tree the world has ever seen. My branches will reach so high up to the sky that people will stare at me with envy, wishing they could reach as close to God as my branches do. Eventually, the woodcutter came upon the 3 trees. Now, the first one was cut down, but instead of the wood being handed to a master artist for the creation of a beautiful treasure chest, it was given to the local carpenter, who hastily and craftlessly turned it into a wooden trough for feeding animals. The second tree was also cut down, but to its disappointment, it was not used to make the grand galleon that the tree had fantasized about. Rather, the timber was sold to a local fisherman, who used it to build himself a simple, cheap fishing boat. The third tree didn't get its wish either. Rather than being left to grow heavenward, the woodsman cut it down and split the trunk down the middle to create 2 half logs, which he left in his yard, hoping he would one day come up with a good use for them. Now, an innkeeper bought the feeding trough and placed it in his stable to feed his guests' horses and donkeys. There was a census that year, and business was booming so much so that one night, when all his rooms were full, the innkeeper could offer nothing better to the young, tired, filthy, scared-looking and heavily pregnant couple that turned up at his door than a warm spot in the hay amongst the animals in the stable. Now, later that night, the woman delivered her baby and placed it in the feeding trough. 3 decades later, that fisherman took a group of friends in his boat for a nighttime fishing trip. A massive storm overtook his little boat, throwing it here and there, threatening to capsize the cheap little thing. Now, the friends in the boat were terrified. They had no idea what to do. So they woke up their leader, who was soundly sleeping in spite of the raging storm. He woke up, walked out onto the deck, stretched his hands out to the sea and said in a quiet voice, "Peace, be still." Not too long after that, the woodcutter was standing in his yard, staring at the two half logs as he often did, trying to come up with something useful to do with them. Suddenly, he heard a loud noise in the distance, the sound of an angry mob inching closer and closer to his yard. Now, before long, the crowd was right outside his gate, causing quite a racket. A few of them burst into his yard, and after frantically looking around, one of them pointed at the two half logs and shouted, "These two will do." So they grabbed one half log, placed it across the other, and nailed them together. Then, amidst the loud roars, they carried the crossed beams out through the yard gates to rejoin the teeming mob out on the streets. Now, just before the gates slammed shut, the woodcutter saw them place the cross they had made from his wood onto the shoulders of a skinny man wearing nothing but a loincloth. His torso, arms, and legs were covered in whip marks, and there were chunks of flesh evidently missing from his back. Now, for just a moment, the tortured man turned and looked directly at the woodcutter with his one eye that wasn't yet swollen shut. The woodsman felt as if this man was looking straight into his soul. Then the gate slammed shut, and the woodsman never saw his two half logs ever again. Of course, you must have figured out by now that the baby born into the feeding trough, the man who calmed the sea, and the tortured man who carried the cross are all the same person, Jesus Christ. Now, those three trees dreamed of a grand life. The first to carry a great treasure, the second to be a grand vessel, and the third to touch God. All three thought their dreams had been shattered, but they each ended up fulfilling their destinies, just not quite in the way they had imagined. My dear friend, life truly is full of surprises. You may look at your life today and despair at how far you've strayed from your dreams, but the singular truth I have come to learn in my relatively short life is that your own plans for yourself can never be bigger than God's plans for you. As long as you don't stop believing in yourself, you will get there, no matter how winding your path may be. But you must be prepared to sacrifice your expectations in order to fulfill your potential. I believe that is really what Good Friday is about, sacrificing our mortal plans to achieve a divine destiny. And that message couldn't have come at a better time. Last night, the president asked us all to sacrifice one more week of restricted movement. He asked us to stay apart from our families this Easter and to stay distant from each other during this coronavirus crisis. Now, this was not what we had planned for ourselves. It's a deviation, of course, a confounded inconvenience, preventing us all from doing what we want. But just like those three trees, let us not despair. Let us embrace this diversion of our lives. It is just God's way of leading us to a destiny greater than we could ever imagine for ourselves. If a feeding trough can carry a great treasure, if a fishing boat can ferry a great miracle, if a tree can become the final resting place of a king and a symbol of hope for the whole world, then trust me, you too can emerge from this crisis greater than you ever would have been without it. Just trust and obey. My name is Kojo Yankson. May God reward your sacrifice. Good morning, Ghana.
Good morning. Welcome to the AM News. Now, President Akufo-Addo has extended the restrictions on movements in Accra and Kumasi by one more week from Monday, April 13, 2020. Delivering his 6th address on the progress of the national campaign to defeat the coronavirus pandemic in Ghana, the president said although the efforts have been successful and the country was not out of the woods, 2 weeks ago, a 14-day restriction on movement in parts of the Greater Accra region and Kumasi in the Ashanti region was implemented to control the spread of the coronavirus. The president also said in the televised address that the lockdown, although harsh, has been critical in beating down Ghana's coronavirus case count.
Whilst the results are encouraging, they're suggesting a limited number of positives and community spread. We expect to be able to test some 10,000 additional samples in the coming week to give us a clearer picture to enable us to take a decision on the way forward. It appears that our common efforts have been modestly successful in containing the virus and minimizing the spread. Undoubtedly, the decisions taken from day one to act quickly and decisively and impose what may have seemed like harsh restrictions have now proven to be effective and have saved a lot of lives. However, this fight is not yet over, and we're by no means out of the woods yet. As I said, we now have in total 378 confirmed cases of infections, with 6 deaths, 4 recoveries, 2 in critical condition, and the remaining 370 are mild cases who are in isolation and either being managed at home or at treatment centers. Fellow Ghanaians, I've come to you this evening to ask for your continued patience as we continue to implement and extend the efforts that have so far proven to be helpful. It is important that we stay the course and bear with the difficulties that come with it. The final result, hopefully, will be freedom from the virus. So the decision has been taken through the issuance of another executive instrument to extend the restriction on movements in the Greater Accra metropolitan area and Kaswa, and the Greater Kumasi metropolitan area and its contiguous districts by 1 more week, beginning 1 a.m. on Monday the 13th of April, subject to review. As part of measures to mitigate the effects of the pandemic, we have decided on further measures of mitigation for all Ghanaians for the next 3 months, i.e. April, May, and June. Government will fully absorb electricity bills for the poorest of the poor, i.e. for all lifeline consumers. That is free electricity for persons who consume 0 to 50 kilowatt hours a month for this period. In addition, for all other consumers, residential and commercial, government will absorb 50% of your electricity bill for this period, using your March 2020 bill as your benchmark. For example, if your electricity bill was 100 cedis, you will pay only 50 cedis, with government absorbing the remaining 50 cedis. This is being done to support industry, enterprises, and the service sector in these difficult times, and to provide some relief to households for lost income. Nevertheless, I urge all Ghanaians to exercise discipline in their use of water and electricity. The food items being distributed in Accra and Kumasi to the vulnerable and needy are being done through NADMO and the Metropolitan, Municipal, and District Chief Executives, with the assistance of the faith-based organizations, to whom I'm rendering a special word of gratitude.
Now, one of 2 persons who escaped from isolation after testing positive for COVID-19 has been found with the assistance of the Accra Mayor. This was after contact tracers had complained of difficulties convincing the patients to comply with isolation protocols. The 2 are said to have fled their neighborhood after they were informed of their test results on Monday, April 6, 2020. Head of our health desk, Fred Smith, has more on the story.
But he will be here by 8:30. That's why I'm telling them that if they fail to get that, even the next week, some Kayo people here, but because of that, they won't go outside. Friends, greeting friends, partners and trouble. So by 8:30, we should be here. That lady, we are encouraging them to take the lady to go and test that serious testing, because he is the one approved that this is what happened for him.
Does he have a telephone that we can call?
They have their number, but if they call him up, that is going forward. It's no more time.
Our interest today is not only the contracts around.
Yeah. So, but what are they? They are refusing to do the testing. No one wants to test. Wow. So this lady and the gentleman
have tested positive.
They tested positive. Okay, but we are struggling to get back. Since when?
We have been for 3 days now. We've been here 3 consecutive days.
So you don't meet them anytime you come?
Yes, they don't pick our call. We can't. They don't want to cooperate.
Before they come, they are calling the parents. I hate you don't want to.
Then it means that this one, you the elders must step in because
they didn't tell anybody. Only thing like the girl. After the leave,
is aware.
After the leave, I will hear it.
Anytime she's around, we can even call you. You come and pick her.
You have that.
That's the right one.
My issue is this. She's not showing any signs of COVID, but she has it. So if I'm standing here and I have things like that, she can give it to the chaplain whoever I find on this, and when the person is also infected, the person will be giving it out to other people. That's the danger of this.
But the person where you get, you never consult him, you never protect him. How can you get another one? That's what the people say do not agree. Because the first one you come and test, and you accept suspend that the follow, you have it. 3 days today, you didn't do anything. So if somebody come and test him, you protect this one before that you get the rest. Protect this one before you get the rest.
That one there. For that one, that one they never do.
Now, staff of St. Augustine's College are protesting the choice of their school as an isolation center. According to the teachers, they cannot live on the campus with people suspected to have COVID-19. Residents of Ifutu also blocked the road to the Ifutu Senior High School because the school had also been chosen as an isolation center. Richard Kojonyako has the rest of the story.
Earlier this week, the Central Regional Minister Kwame Nadankan met the Regional Health Response Team to prepare should a case be recorded in the region. The minister tasked each district to designate a school to manage suspected cases. On Wednesday, the region announced its first case. On Wednesday, the Central Region recorded its first case of COVID-19. Following that, there were suggestions that a school should be designated to serve as an isolation center, and so St. Augustine's was chosen as one of the isolation centers. The headmaster briefed the teachers that are around, and then the teachers say that cannot happen because this very facility houses about 60 families, and they cannot live with people that would be isolated and possibly tested for the COVID-19 or the coronavirus disease.
Everybody, social center, everybody knows, they know who and who are staying here. So in fact, the kind of labeling that goes with the disease is going to be tagged to all of us. That is my first worry. My number 2 worry is the fact that St. Augustine's College, I think those who start to plan to select St. Augustine's College define a school as currently as a situation where school has gone down and there's nobody here. This is a home of about 60 plus families, 60 teachers, non-teaching, plus their wife, plus their spouses, if I should put it that way, multiplied by their kids. You are bringing somebody from his or her home to join us here. What is the reason? Probably you want to take the people from their homes so that they will not infect others. Now you are bringing them to a home where 300 plus people are residing. I think with that one, I beg to differ here. With this one, we are pleading with the government. Even if there was a way out, I thought that they shouldn't have labeled St. Augustine's College, for everybody to know. But as it is now, people even passing by, if you go to town, people will label us as having it, and it comes with a lot of trauma. Apart from that, the dormitory that has been chosen, just behind it, we have bungalows there. The distance is not even up to 25 meters. I would say less than 25 meters. I'm not very sure, but per my check, it will not go beyond 25 meters. Sure, and it houses 3 families.
These are residents of Ifutu. They number about 200. They have stood still under the scorching sun for close to 6 hours, protesting the selection of the Ifutu Senior High School as an isolation center. A team of police personnel was dispatched to the scene to calm the situation, but the residents say until the decision to use the school as an isolation center is reversed, they will never relent. Irene Opon speaks for the Regional Police Command.
And currently, both members of the town and properties are safe. Currently, police commanders are in the palace of Ifutu and they are having meetings with opinion leaders so that we can come to a lawful conclusion.
For Joy News, my name is Richard Kwejenyako from Cape Coast.
And still on COVID-19, the Ghana Immigration Service says it has identified nearly 30,000 travelers who arrived into the country through the Kotoka International Airport who would have to be tracked and tested for COVID-19. These travelers arrived in the country between March 3 and 20, shortly before the closure of the country's borders. President Akufo-Addo on March 21 directed that all travelers who arrived within the period be traced as part of an aggressive attempt to stop the spread of the pandemic. The Ghana Immigration Service says 28,000 of the 34,000 have been processed to make the data user-friendly for contact tracers. Maxwell Agbagba had exclusive access to how the process is going and has come through with this report.
In normal times, you'd find people milling around the luggage carousel and the conveyor belt here. But that is not the case today, as this airport is empty with no activity. This is a reflection of what is happening in many parts of the world. Well, we've been speaking to the man in charge of the information system here at the Kotoka International Airport. He's been telling us about how they are generating data to help the contact tracing team.
You search through for the card that the traveler completed when he arrived on the day in question. Yes, and from there you are able to extract the address that was stated on the card and then the telephone number that was given as well.
Okay. So
yeah, we compile for the entire flight for that day and then we send it to the headquarters for onward development of the list. Yes.
I'm here at the headquarters of the Ghana Immigration Service. The contact tracers, they are working from one of the rooms here. These are contact tracing developers. What they do here in this room is to work on the data of persons who came into the country from March 3 to March 23. That was the period before Ghana's borders were shut. So what they are doing is to work on the data of about over 30,000 people, and they're making the data user-friendly here in this room. I've been speaking to the Chief Superintendent, Lydia Archer, who's the leader of the team here. And she tells me that so far they've worked on about 28,000 persons. And this is what we have here. This is just part of what they've worked on, so far.
And we are looking at about 400 plus flights that came within that period. And then about 34,000 plus passengers. Yes, and then so far we've been able to clean and disseminate about 28,500, and work is ongoing.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is the COVID-19 operations room here at the Ghana Immigration Service. This is where all the coordination, takes place. You remember the Ghana Immigration Service put out a notice out there that if you have any family member, any friend, or any tenant who came in within the period that was announced, you should call. Well, if you call, this is where your call will normally come to, and persons here will respond, to it. I've been speaking to the coordinator of this operations room, and he's been telling me about what they've been doing here at this place.
We monitor the border patrol activities.
You know that the borders are locked down, and what we have to do is to patrol 24/7 across the borders.
I've also been speaking to the Greater Accra Regional Commander of the Ghana Immigration Service, who is also in charge of the contact tracing operations here at the Immigration Headquarters, Samuel Amadou Basinteli. He says that so far, so good with the contact tracing, but there's still more work to be done.
Oh, well, so far, so good. But there's still a lot of work to do because Accra is a big region. And we have over 30-something thousand passengers to trace within who entered the country between the 3rd of March until the lockdown. So that is a huge responsibility, but we are doing our best.
This is what a typical contact tracing process looks like. Here in this community at Ashoman, we are told that there was a positive COVID-19 case some days ago. Health personnel and the Ghana immigration officers here are helping, taking samples for them to be tested at the Noguchi Memorial Institute.
Currently, we are working hand in hand with the Ghana Health Service, tracing contacts of people suspected to have come in touch with the confirmed case in the area. So we are working hand in hand with the Ghana Health Service. In as much as we are part of the contact tracing team, we also provide security in the sense that some areas, they don't try to welcome us, they don't try to understand the situation. So in the case where we think that it may be rowdy, then we quickly call in the rapid response team.
And that's exclusive access and a very detailed report from Maxwell Agbaba. If you've been wondering how the Immigration Service is working on those contacts, the records that they have of people who entered the country before the lockdown. There you go. I hope that you have a better understanding. It's a holy day today. It's a holiday commemorating the crucifixion of Christ and his death at Calvary. We'll find time and reflect on this day. Stay with us. When we come back, we're reviewing not the newspapers because I haven't spotted the newspapers. It's a holiday. So we'll do online and we'll get reactions from the president's address last night. If you missed it, we will do a recap on our show. Stay with us. Roland Walker, happy holiday, but it's a holy one.
Yeah, definitely. Today is Good Friday, and I want to say we thank God for the lives that we have, and we do know some great efforts are being put in by everybody else to make sure that we're able to nip this in the bud.
Yeah.
I wanted to do some dedication, but...
Oh, please do.
Sally for Combat, Boku Presbyterian Hospital. Boss of Primary Healthcare Pharmacy. Good morning to you and the rest of your family. Happy Good Friday. Also to you, Ella Mashagbo. You're a teacher with the Vakpo Secondary School. I wish you all the best for this Easter holiday season. And then Nana Bryant, you live in the Central Regional Capital of Cape Coast. A good one to you as well and the rest of the family. I will try after the lockdown to pay you a visit. And Mohamed, that'll be all.
Area.
Maybe.
All right. Let's do the online review because we don't have any newspapers in the studio today. So we'll start with myjawline.com. That's our news portal. So let's check out what's making news. Obviously, conversations from the president's address last night. So if you missed it, here's how My Joy Online reported the story. Lockdown in Accra and Kumasi extended by 7 more days as coronavirus cases increased to 378. Now, here's the thing. If you go to the page where we get the updates in terms of the Ghana Health Service page, you will not find this figure, except that the president mentioned it last night. So that's the headline there on myjawline.com. And if you want to listen to the president, you can do a playback. Akufo-Addo extends lockdown in Accra and Kumasi by 7 more days. Akufo-Addo announces 3 months free electricity amid coronavirus. Now, here's the trick. It's not as blanket as it sounds. It's actually for very poor persons it's going to be absolutely free, but for others, it's a slash, so 50% slash in that. But government is absorbing electricity bills for the poor. And then for other persons who are not in the poor category, you get a slash of 50%. One of 2 runaway COVID patients found. CMB market shut down indefinitely after traders failed to adhere to social distancing. If you go to the other side of the page, Ghanaian boy with special needs killed by van in the US. Now, this is absolutely sad because the mother of this boy said she was taking her bath. He was supposed to be on his tablets, either in the garage or in one of the rooms in the house. After taking the bath, she only realized, you know, she couldn't find her son. So tried to look for him around. And sadly, well, maybe because of his condition, I'm not sure he exactly knew what he was doing. No. But he made an attempt, they say, to cross the highway, which was quite some kilometers away from the home, and he was knocked down by a minivan, sadly. So that's details of that story in my, very tragic indeed. What COVID-19 reveals about education inequality in Ghana. A Futu resident block road to protest use of senior high school as COVID-19 isolation center. Richard Kojanyako brought us details in our news. And then MPP youth and Lejokuku kick against attempt to let Okoboy stand unopposed in primaries. So if you go down to the case counts, you realize we've got 378 confirmed cases, 6 deaths, 3 recovered. And the global picture, well, over 1 million, more than 1.5 million persons now recorded, have coronavirus. We've got 95,753 deaths, and those recovered, incredibly, 356,952. All right, there are other stories that you can watch in video on myjoyonline.com. Roland?
Yes, and well, that's where we have to take you to BBC. I thought, no, well, okay, BBC. It's Mama V's favorite, that's why. Mama V, you have some stories you share later, right? Or you haven't taken any notice yet? All right, so let's do the BBC. And it has on its main page the live update, especially from the Africa feed, where Uganda's president, 75, apparently wore a kaftan to demonstrate how exercises could be undertaken, and he was doing it in his presidential office. African government. So Uganda's president, 75, makes exercise video. And,
just to motivate people to do it. It's harder when you're home, I guess, for people who don't.
So we'll play the video for you. This is it.
How old is he again?
75.
All right, I'm going to be looking at him as a 75-year-old. Let's see if I'll be impressed. I haven't seen the video yet, so we're all watching it for the first time.
Let's click it again, and hopefully, I'm sure. Media player could not be played, but appropriately, it also the feed also gives us. I think we'll be lucky this time. Yeah, that's him. Beautiful. That's right.
Okay.
And no. That's right. That's right.
You can do as many laps as you want. Stop count. That's 2. You can do as many laps as you want.
Yeah, it's true. Sure.
Oh, I'm impressed, Mr. President.
Yeah,
That's
I couldn't
impressive.
have done this. I'm telling you.
Well, you could do it. I mean, don't exaggerate.
Jesus Christ of Bethlehem.
Listen, I just feel it's just not the fact that he's doing it in his office. Just
I think
the
it's
whole
demonstrated.
concept.
Yes.
The fact that he does something and he's trying to tell you that you can also do something. That's impressive.
True.
I like it.
Sure. Yeah. I think one of the positions we have to give you in the immediate future is an ambassador designate. Be a diplomat. You're being very diplomatic on this subject. I don't know why.
No. Listen, I haven't been to the gym in a while, in a long while because
I think 2 weeks.
Because I like to do the gym not in the house. I mean, there's something about the home for me. Yeah. It's not like you want to sleep.
That's why working from home is not the same as in
for some people.
From the office.
So once I see that there's somebody making an effort, that's very encouraging. And I'm sure there are people like me. If it's not the gym, then they can't really exercise. So this tells you can do something.
Okay, so just like I had promised, I started my day with indoor exercise. Okay, let's move up. And he's wearing a kaftan. African president.
Oh, Roland.
Do wonderful things during coronavirus.
I beg.
We have another one. Okay, Zambian footballer stuck in India. Indian virus lockdown. Let's go up. You find him there. He's a Zambian footballer. But Africa top shots, minion-clad vendors and Casablanca cats. Let's go up. And yeah, we'll go. Please come to the middle. Yeah, let's go. This one, is it a cartoon character? I think. Yeah, I bought this for my children. The minion. Yeah. One of your children will be excited about this. Do you know the cartoon character?
No,
the Minions?
No. I don't. Can we go down again?
Yeah, let's see. I'm sure you've seen it. Have you seen this cartoon character?
Yeah, but not my kid's favorite.
All right. When you have Man United supporters as parents, that's what happens. South Africa's mysterious coronavirus law. That means still make sort of. Let's go up. And it says that South Africa sees an unexpected slowdown in the daily rate of infections, according to Andrew Haddon, the correspondent of the BBC there. But it's also because there's a lockdown. They have it with the army all in the streets, etc. You have minor issues of some looting of liquor shops, etc. But all these updates all ready for you on the BBC. Can we go to the main page of the BBC and see whether we can get some update worldwide? Okay, this is a big...
Christians face Good Friday on virus lockdown.
And it's and it also gives you an NHS initiative, not a knee-jerk reaction, according to football. And yesterday, football authorities, they met using Zoom and WhatsApp conference calls just to make sure that they took some decisions for the game. And then New York has more virus cases than any country.
Yeah.
And it's all because, as we've been told by our population expert who came within the week, the population density in New York is very high. But what is also emerging is that if you see many of the cases in areas like Detroit, in Illinois, even though they have between 25 to about 15% of the black population, half of the fatalities or the cases recorded so far have been blacks. And this has generated debate in the black community and the academicians or intellectuals about the inequality that exists in their society. Also exists in Ghana as well. Oil producers agreed to cut production by 1/10. I'm sure this one, they're agreeing, is because they want to increase supply. Increase demand by reducing supply appropriately. 7 people stuck in a lift, then 1 coughs. Hey, there's this one. I don't know whether we can find this. There's this joke. I know it's skits. They were sitting in a trotro-like and somebody coughed and everybody just got out of the trotro sort of. I think it will be a South African comedy skit. All right. Mama V.
I guess we have time to do the CNN before we bring you sport. I guess the biggest story in sport really is the Premier League and the fact that they're getting some millions of pounds just to help cash flows. I mean, people are locked down, including footballers. There's been an agreement. Benedict will share details of that with us in sports. What are we doing? Equivalents of that in Ghana. How does that look like? I don't know. So All right, let's do the CNN before we make way for sports. So here we go. China on knife edge between recovery and new virus wave. Also, virus victims' bodies could be buried on New York Island. There are some stories that you won't hear if you're watching the BBC and the CNN. There are local reports in those countries in Europe, in America, in the UK and in the US, where people are dying, like poor people are dying in their homes. That you will probably not hear if you're watching the international media. Chinese government reveals draft list of animals which can be farmed for meats. So it's not all COVID related. Worries arise that relaxed restrictions will result in another outbreak of infections. What happens when lockdown lifts? When lockdowns lift, but pilots are out of practice. I guess it's a feature that, you know, if you're interested. I was COVID exposed and put in a camp. This is what I found. That's somebody's experience. People are luring grocery delivery services shoppers with big tips, then changing them to zero. Oh, that's curious. So that's how the page looks. People in India can see, which one is that? Is it Himalayas for first time in decades? Not sure what that is, but if you're curious, as I am, you might want to check it out. Scenes of family life in small town America blend reality with fiction. Okay, all right. So these are some featured stories on the page. No job, no way home. Chinese workers in the US are being left in limbo. Okay. Okay. I mean, we're supposed to be happy, Roland.
Yeah, it's not a normal Good Friday,
like,
you know.
Everything is like
Charlie, the way now at time the East time. Oh, I mean now.
I wasn't supposed to be on the show today, people. I had booked the holiday. Aww. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. We want you to tell us, like, everything has changed. We didn't think we'll be here today. So, what are you doing this Easter? This is Good Friday with your family. It's not really a holiday. It doesn't feel like a holiday because you've probably been holidaying for the past 2 weeks. So this is no special day, but it is indeed because it's a holiday. It's a Good Friday. We're looking forward to Sunday. So tell us what you're doing with the family. Anything you're doing with the family, anything different from what you've been doing. And I have a suggestion. If you haven't made pancakes before and it's always dry bread and margarine or bread and jam, do some pancakes. Or do something else, something, you know.
What do they use in making?
And if you eat separately, our producer says cook wash at home. No, don't cook wash at home. If you've been eating separately, please, can you, just for breakfast and lunch, can you do it as a family?
Not observe social distancing.
Like together, Master, you're home. Tell me what you do when you get home. Let's not even start. But I'm just saying, can you do something different with the family? We want you to really do it. So send us pictures.
Yeah.
Anything that you're doing with your family today. Maybe you're doing an online service or you're doing like a quiet time with your family. We want to be in your home. So send us pictures on our WhatsApp number.
And I wanted to say, Mama, one thing I've learnt, and I think we have to carry on after the lockdown or coronavirus, is going to church at home. So now I will have every excuse to do online church service.
I knew you'd say that, but do you concentrate 100% when you're doing the home service?
We're taking a break. Sports is next.
You better do.
Sports is next. We're taking. Okay, so we're taking a break.
Hello, a very good morning to you wherever you are. My name is Benedict Tosi. Time to talk sports here on the AM show, and we start here on the local scene in Accra Heart of Folk board member Dr. Nyaho Tamaklo, he says poor planning on the part of some players in the Ghana Premier League is the bane to their success here in Ghana. Now, Dr. Tamaklo was sharing his thoughts on why home-based players over the years have struggled to make it.
I think the biggest problem facing some of these young boys is planning. They definitely don't know how to plan their life. In any profession, and I believe they take football as their profession. In any profession, bad planning will definitely end you in a bad life. Any profession. Now, these days we hear of managers handling these small boys. So then, when they are brought to the club to be signed on, they get very handsome amounts of money, but they are not managed properly. Now, these managers get the lion's share of the money, and then they leave them to the club. They play for the club a year or two, and then either there's a repetition or they have the ambition to go outside, which many a time they get outside and they never get anywhere. They just become stool warmers all over Europe and Asia.
So that was Dr. Nyaho Tamaklo, and some home-based players left the country for relatively unknown football countries to seek for greener pastures. Well, Dr. Tamaklo reveals some of these players are pushing for a return to his club, that's Accra Hearts of Oak.
We have numerous offers from boys who have been outside the country and they have failed and they have come back, including Hearts of Oak players. But I'm telling you, the present leadership of Hearts of Oak will not jump just to take them. But we know they are better. You follow me? What must be done now is maybe to explain things to this boy that in any profession, you just don't jump from point 1 to point million. You start gradually.
Well, we'll still stay here on the local scene, and Sonny Yakuba is close to securing a deal to Mediema SC. My colleague Asari Diakon has more in the following report.
The 28-year-old refused to extend his contract with Asante Kotoko after the club failed to meet his financial demands. Yakuba officially parted ways with the Kumasi-based club this month after a 2-year stint. Kotoko signed the striker in 2018 and was the toast of fans. However, the Porcupine Warriors failed to tie down the Burkinabe forward. Yakuba's agent was demanding $150,000, a transfer fee Asante Kotoko were not willing to pay. But Mediema SC are eager to meet the financial demands of Sonny Yakuba and are expected to seal the deal in the coming days.
Now, away from the locals, in Premier League clubs will receive millions of pounds in advance payments related to the league positioning and television fees in an effort to ease their cash flow problems. We still stay on the international front, and some transfer rumors. Real Madrid, they are, seriously looking at augmenting their squad, well, for the next season, and they are looking at players like Kylian Mbappe of Paris Saint-Germain, also Neymar still on their card. Away from football, did you know that in boxing, most of the top guys that did very well at the Olympics went on to become greats in the boxing industry? I'm talking about boxers like Anthony Joshua, Vitaly Klitschko, Lomachenko. You check this out. All right, so oftentimes I hear people say they are squatting. Okay, but if you are squatting, do you know the exact thing you have to do, the right thing that you have to do? Well, as part of our everyday, exercising, telling you what to do as you stay at home and not eat plenty so you become big after the lockdown. Today, I'm going to show you how to squat and squat very well. All right, there you go. I hope this time you did the right thing at home. Already, the camera lady in the studio is trying, and she's doing it well. I've been doing it, and I entreat you out there to also do it. Push-ups and all. Next week, God willing, we'll be here to show you more in terms of what you have to do. But enjoy your holiday. Stay at home. Don't go anywhere. Please stay at home. Don't go out. Easter Friday, yes, we know it's a holiday. Easter Monday too is coming, also a holiday. But please do stay at home. I'm Benedict Ose. Thanks so much for your time. And of course, the show continues after the short break. Don't go away.
And make sure that you are getting interactive. We have Facebook, Joy News on TV, a Twitter handle at Joy News on TV, and then myjoyonline.com is where we bring you the most converged broadcast, if not published news as well. When you go there, you find all the links to other platforms we have here at Multimedia. And I have to tell you, the president again gave an address. 10:30 was the time. And we want to bring you a playback of that address, and then we'll open the phone lines, because this was the second time in a row that he, by way of policy, had decided to provide amenities at almost a considerable rate. The first was water, free for the next 3 months for the ordinary Ghanaian, and then a half cost of electricity again within the period for consumers.
Whilst the results are encouraging, they're suggesting a limited number of positives and community spread. We expect to be able to test some 10,000 additional samples in the coming week to give us a clearer picture to enable us to take a decision on the way forward. It appears that our common efforts have been modestly successful in containing the virus and minimizing the spread. Undoubtedly, the decisions taken from day one to act quickly and decisively and impose what may have seemed like harsh restrictions have now proven to be effective and have saved a lot of lives. However, this fight is not yet over, and we're by no means out of the woods yet. As I said, we now have in total 378 confirmed cases of infections, with 6 deaths, 4 recoveries, 2 in critical condition, and the remaining 370 are mild cases who are in isolation and either being managed at home or at treatment centers. Fellow Ghanaians, I've come to you this evening to ask for your continued patience as we continue to implement and extend the efforts that have so far proven to be helpful. It is important that we stay the course and bear with the difficulties that come with it. The final result, hopefully, will be freedom from the virus. So the decision has been taken, through the issuance of another executive instrument, to extend the restriction on movements in the Greater Accra metropolitan area and Kaswa, and the Greater Kumasi metropolitan area and its contiguous districts by 1 more week, beginning 1 a.m. on Monday the 13th of April, subject to review. As part of measures to mitigate the effects of the pandemic, we have decided on further measures of mitigation for all Ghanaians for the next 3 months, i.e. April, May, and June. Government will fully absorb electricity bills for the poorest of the poor, i.e. for all lifeline consumers. That is free electricity for persons who consume 0 to 50 kilowatt hours a month for this period. In addition, for all other consumers, residential and commercial, government will absorb 50% of your electricity bill for this period, using your March 2020 bill as your benchmark. For example, if your electricity bill was 100 cedis, you will pay only 50 cedis, with government absorbing the remaining 50 cedis. This is being done to support industry, enterprises, and the service sector in these difficult times, and to provide some relief to households for lost income. Nevertheless, I urge all Ghanaians to exercise discipline in their use of water and electricity. The food items being distributed in Accra and Kumasi to the vulnerable and needy are being done through NADMO and the Metropolitan, Municipal, and District Chief Executives, with the assistance of the faith-based organizations, to whom I'm rendering a special word of gratitude. National Trust Fund for their kind gesture. Fellow Ghanaians, today is Maundy Thursday, and tomorrow, a few hours from now, Friday, 10th April, Good Friday, is the start of Easter, which for us Christians commemorates the unique sacrifice that our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ made for our salvation on the cross of Calvary. The season is a good opportunity for all of us to reflect on that ultimate sacrifice, for each one of us also to make a sacrifice for the sake of humanity's survival. We're used to attending Easter conventions, making merry, visiting friends and family, and having a good time. Yes, like a lot of you, I was also looking forward to visiting Kwahu during this time of the year, which I've been doing for several years. However, I'm urging all of us to do the exact opposite of what we have been used to for many years. Stay at home. I ask you to keep your distance from your parents, grandparents, and extended family, and celebrate this holiday apart. Do not host a big family gathering, and sternly refuse to attend one if you're invited. Your relatives will understand you're doing this out of love for them. Please make that sacrifice. Misremo, asama maken, mundeso, ebebwa yenyina, memamu nyina efisiapa. Minkpanyofai, mibi minke, nye yeno, ibawa wofen, mihanye, afio, afi. So on behalf of my beautiful Rebecca, my children, grandchildren, and entire family, and members of government, I wish you all a joyous and happy Easter.
And that is the address from the President, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. And all of you now know the content. And what has been prominent is that announcement that 50% rate is now what electricity and its consumption will cost you. But of course, we have to do some analysis on the subject and the decision by the President for his government to do this fully. But ultimately, we do know the objective is to make sure that the ordinary Ghanaian is cushioned within these difficult times. But it's also important we all get to know that call to all of us to make sure that we respect the guidelines or the rules within this period of the lockdown is the utmost priority for every Ghanaian within the Accra, Tema, and Greater Kumasi areas. Well, we'll open the phone lines very soon. But before we do so, let's speak to the Executive Director for the Africa Center for Energy Policy, Mr. Ben Boache. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Walker.
Great. Now, what do you make of the President's announcement, especially regarding the half tariff for electricity?
Yes, I think it's been hinted, it had been hinted for the announcement. The majority leader in Parliament hinted that government was actually considering it, and we had opportunity to comment on that. And our concern really was that, yes, you can reduce tariff, but before you do that, you have to show how you're going to pay for it. Because electricity is a commodity, and if you absorbing the cost of that commodity, you have to tell everybody how you're going to pay, because government only has what you give to. They're not going to get the money from anywhere but from us, through taxes and other businesses that government we have. So if you presented a budget to Parliament that did not have electric tariff, reduction accounted for, how do you implement that, and where do you get the money to be able to do that? And 50% cut, in our estimation, would be about 3 billion Ghana cedis, of cost to government. And our challenge really is that, the power sector as we have it is facing tremendous challenges. I.e., gas that we buy and we are not paying for it. And as we speak, we owe OCTP gas almost $200 million we haven't paid. The IPPs in totality are owed about $1 billion. That is also about 6 billion Ghana cedis in debt. And the government was chipping in once in a while with money to ensure that these power plants continue to generate electricity. But with the effect of coronavirus and, slumping oil prices, it's going to be difficult to intervene on that front to continue paying an electricity bill. And the question really was,
Mr. Boache, we seem to have lost him on the line. We'll re-establish that line and then continue with the conversation. But what do you also think about the president's announcement? And there have been a lot of commentary on social media as well. But while we take a look at how this has been received joyously across the broader section of the population, it also means that somewhat we have to pay for it sometime, some other day. So we'll be taking a look at related issues or questions of what the current mix or component of electricity pricing is and how those recoveries could be made for those who produce electricity based on what is collected from consumers. And we'll pose all these questions to the Executive Director for the Africa Center for Energy Policy. And you would know that he said that ASAP, their analysis is having a conclusion that this is going to cost the government or those who produce electricity, they would need some in excess of some $550 million US. That's $3 billion within the period. He's back on the line, Mr. Boache. Again, you were saying something. Can you please just maybe start for us and as you continue?
I was saying that essentially we really need at this point to, in the midst of these interventions, begin to answer the question how sustainable the power sector can be and how promptly government would want to pay, for these interventions so that it doesn't degenerate into another difficulty post COVID-19. Because, the power sector, like I mentioned, is struggling. And paying the bills in the sector has been a challenge. So if we add into it, then we need to really create some space within the budget to be able to finance that quickly to ensure that we do not worsen the situation in the power sector.
When it comes to citizens paying this rate, if you look at the current price and mix of electricity, its generation, and ultimately the distribution to the consumer, what are they made of? And what could be the implications ultimately for those who tend to generate power by way of what the precedent has been in terms of how they get their receipts or what they have generated in payments?
No, I think for the generators, it will be a worrying moment, really, for them because already they've been struggling to get their payments from the sector. And now you're hearing this announcement and you don't know in clear terms where that money is going to come from. So I'm sure in the next couple of days and weeks, they will be knocking at the door of government to get some explanation on how their payments are going to be made, really. But for the consumer, it's good news, even though we will have to pay at some point. I keep saying, government doesn't have anything free to give. It is what we give them that they spend on us. So we're going to have to pay, but when and how that is going to happen, we do not know yet. So on your bill, what the president essentially said was that you just have to look at how much you spent the previous month, and a rebate of 50% will be granted to you. So if you spent 200 Ghana cedis last month, government is going to pick 100 cedis off that. And that is to ensure that people are not reckless in this moment to say that, oh, now electricity is free, so they're just going to consume as much as they want. But you have to reflect on what you spent last month, and then that informs, what you're going to spend. And whatever you spend in excess, you have to pay for it. So this intervention can also increase demand, because some people are going to be like, okay, I'm getting a rebate, I can now turn on my AC, I can now do something else. That still gets me to pay just what I was paid. And that was why the president was probably trying to caution that we still have to conserve, we still have to be prudent with the way we use electricity. And I think we'll join it in that call, that it is expensive to generate power. It is expensive to maintain the systems in the power sector. So even with this rebate, we still have to be willing to cut our demand and ensure that we are not putting unnecessary stress on the power system, because there is some free amount, coming to us. But all of us share in that responsibility to ensure that we are not being wasteful at this point to unnecessarily increase demand for electricity.
Okay. And if you just have to, again, reiterate that, take consumers through what this really means by way of the consumption patterns, you're saying that it means what? You're getting a rebate on the credits or the amount you spend over the last month within the period that is under the coverage.
You're going to use your March bill as the benchmark. So whatever you spend in March, half of that will be the rebate. So what it means is that if you spend more in April, you only pay. They only give you a rebate for half of what you spent in March. So, like I mentioned, if you go and spend 300 cities instead of 200 that you did in March, you will still get 100 cities rebate, because the rebate is benchmarked against last month's bill. So you have to be mindful that it's not a rebate on what you're going to consume this month or next month, but the benchmark is really what you did in March.
Ultimately, who benefits more within the demographics of the population that we have of consumers?
That is a very tricky one. I see that there is a lifeline intervention, which is a safety net for people who are consuming about 50 units of electricity. So if you're doing 50 kilowatts in a month, your bill is free. You're not going to pay. But the difficulty we have had over the period is that the lifeline for many consumers are not, the lifeline consumers are actually not benefiting from this, because most of these poor people live in clusters. So they have 1 meter serving tens of people, usually in the compound house environment. So they tend to consume more than the 50 units that would have made them benefit from the lifeline tariff. So it's still some of the average, middle-income people who benefit from some of these interventions, because you go to some apartments, you have somebody in a one-bedroom apartment, and he has his own meter. So what that means is that if he consumes 50 units in a month, he's getting a lifeline rebate. He's going to pay very little or nothing. But the poor people who are in compound houses, they go beyond the 50 units and they don't benefit from the lifeline. So I think we probably will need to be targeted and map out at this point, if you really want to target the poor, we have to be able to map out those areas and say, if you're in a compound house, it is not 50 units, but maybe the compound house people can get 100 or 200 units rebate, so that they can also be impacted by the lifeline.
I want to let you go though, but I'm tempted to ask this. How do you do that if you're using the electronic meters, where nobody would know whether this card belongs to a meter that is consumed by compound house households?
I think now technology makes it easy to do that. Okay. We could use the Ghana Post GPS to map out where the poor live, and then be able to say that, these people in this enclave. It will be difficult to be accurate, but at this point, you have to also make sure that you are not burdening the poor. And therefore, you want to, within this 3 months, give a certain margin of error and allow the poor to benefit from this intervention.
Well, thank you very much. And this interactive has been very useful, but more so educative. And Mr. Ben Boakye is Executive Director, the Africa Center for Energy Policy, breaking down what the President's announcement is. And as we open the phone line, 03022116910, again, 03022116910, we also have to get some cues from his discussions or interventions so far. The announcement, he said, is worrying on a general scale for producers of electricity and ultimately the distributors. That will be for ECJ ultimately as well, because we have a certain precedent of not paying the producers or the distributors in time. Ultimately, that has affected their capacity to be able to generate enough, and then cash flow related issues. But for consumers, he says it makes a lot of sense. They will be happy, but ultimately, this is the caveat. The benchmark for you enjoying the 50% rebate is on the consumption over the last 1 month. Okay, so that will be in March. If you exceed that consumption pattern, you pay the normal tariff or the rate for the excess consumption. I hope that all of us understood that. But it's where we get onto the phone lines. We have a regular from Cape Coast who is calling us, and John Kufua, good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning.
What do you make of the President's main announcement? I believe electricity, and for you as a consumer, that will be your main take.
Yeah, well, if you quite remember, last time I said it, that I'm very happy if the President add electricity to it. Because if you have seen so many countries, African countries, economies are worse than ours. And they are benefiting. They are enjoying better than we are enjoying. So knowing our President, I knew he could have done it. So today, yesterday, that is when I heard it, I was so much happy. But my problem is, as they did for the water, the moment you bring any percentage and other things, the calculation is going to be something different. You see? So now water, we don't need any calculation in water. You enjoy 10% and what. Anybody is enjoying free. But this electricity thing, the calculation, I don't support. If the President will gain my maximum, in fact, it should have been absolutely free. It should have been free, so that there won't be any calculation and stuff. If you remember, anytime we reduce electricity tariff, the next month, that is where we pay more. That is where we pay more. For us who are using the prepaid meter, let's wait and see what will happen. Anytime we reduce electricity tariffs, that is where the next month we will pay more. So in order to achieve the maximum support that the President is giving, in fact, it should come again and let's enjoy absolutely free as other West African countries are also enjoying.
Right.
Thank you.
John, don't go away. What's usually your consumption pattern? Do you live alone or you live in a compound house?
Yeah, I'm living. I'm sharing a meter with my co-tenant.
Okay, so John, let's get this straight. And based on the contributions or guidelines as given advisedly by Mr. Ben Boakye, do you know your consumption rate or pattern?
Yeah, I don't know the kilowatt, but I know the amount that we pay.
How much do you pay?
Yeah, we are paying 180 Ghana a month.
180 Ghana. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
The last month.
Okay, so make sure that you don't exceed 180 Ghana cedis in April.
I was very happy when he explained that, because people are not aware of that.
Right.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, thank you very much. That's John Kufua from Cape Coast, the Central Regional Capital. Now let's go to Bumkrugu, and it's where we speak to Inusa. Inusa, good morning to you, and thank you for holding on.
Good morning, Laurent.
Yeah, good morning. You enjoyed the President's announcement, didn't you?
Oh,
I would say I just listened. I enjoyed it a bit because taking a look at the previous speech, which the water was free. But for example, I still buy water. You can remember, even yesterday, I asked that question on your wall. I still buy water. Hello?
Yes. In what form? You mean?
I still buy water. And even the electricity issue, for April already, we paid for it. So I want to know the procedures, how it will be done. And we, for example, the meter we use we are 3 people using it. And it's 190 cedis per month.
The 3 of you?
Yes.
Okay, so your co-tenant, you in addition, you are 3 using the same meter.
Yes.
Is it an electronic meter or just the manual one?
No, it's the electronic one.
Okay, so and you spend 190, you say?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Just make sure you don't exceed the 190 the next month. Don't put on the air conditioners or increase the number of times you tend to use the gadget at home. I'm sure you should be fine. The 50% rebate will apply to you.
If you could bring Minister of Information, I want clarity on this water issue because listen to the President's speech. The water they said it's free, but assuming you are living in a rented apartment where they sell water.
What's your experience? Where do you buy the water, Inusa?
From those who sell it, those who have the taps and they sell, the commercial people.
Okay, so is it? Do they fill your tank or you buy through the bucket or what, or the gallons or what?
No, it's just drums that we use and buy.
Okay. Okay. All right.
So
Thank you.
Clarity on that.
All right. Okay. Well, we will note that. I'm sure this weekend we'll also have an interaction with the Minister for Information. MFAPO should be able to do that by Sunday evening. So we'll get all those clarifications sorted out. Now let's go to Takrady. We have Ellis. Ellis, good morning to you.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah. And your contribution, I'm sure it will be related to the electricity tariff reduction.
Exactly. The gentleman who spoke from ASTEP, I don't know the name.
He spoke from where?
The gentleman who spoke with for ASTEP.
For ASAP, Mr.
He made a contribution to the vulnerables.
Mr. Ben Boache.
Yeah, I mean the unit that is vulnerable use. You know, one person or 1 meter will handle about 20, 30 people. You know, still they are going to suffer because you're not going to be able to help them with this. You are not able to classify that.
I get your point. And that was what he was referring to. Is that not what you're talking about?
Yes. So how is the government going to assist these people because they are still vulnerable?
So his suggestion is that perhaps they need to do some means testing or get to identify the households that tend to be on such meters so that they will have direct application of the tariffs to them. Otherwise, then it has to be the bulk charges, and that will only be 50% as it is. Are you satisfied now? Okay, so let's go to Adenta, just right here, and we have Kojo Fosu. Kojo Fosu, good morning.
Good morning.
You really enjoyed the announcement by the president. What will be your own take on the subject?
My own take is that the lockdown started in the 3rd week of March. So for those of us that work and stay outside of home, we would only stay home for 1 week in March. And I've just looked at my electricity consumption, and it's very low for the 3 weeks that I was away out of home. But because of the lockdown, I have to come back home. And my electricity bill went up 4 times in the last week of March due to the lockdown. So if we use the March consumption whilst we're staying at home, it's a quarter of what I pay if I'm not locked down. The lockdown has increased my electricity bill 4 times.
Benchmark should be the March bill.
Yes, and I'm saying in March, the 3 weeks that there was no lockdown, the total electricity bill for that period was 100 cedis. For the 1 week that I stayed home, my bill went up to 400.
All right. So, well, we'll have the Minister for Information in the studio, I'm sure, by Sunday evening. And if we're able to get him for that, the lockdown interaction with MFA Apau, we will make sure that we pose these questions. And Kojo Fosu, thank you very much for that concern you have and well espoused in that phone call. And Kojo Fosu stays in Adenta. But look, there's something good happening because we have various MMDCEs. So they are supposed to make sure that the directive of a lockdown, etc., and then social distancing is maintained within the lockdown areas on one side, and outside the lockdown areas, make sure social distancing becomes a phenomenon when it comes to interactions and the movement of people. And one person who is an MCE is Mr. Anthony Sam. Mr. Anthony Sam of Secondary Takrady has done something quite novel, if it's not, because he's been able to use social distancing as a phenomenon in markets in Takrady. And we're going to show you an insight into what he's been able to do. Usually, this is the scene. This is the scene prior to the lockdown. Very congested. And when coronavirus cases and the concern had been raised by government, its assigns, well, we were advised that a lockdown could be possible. The announcement was made for Accra, Tema, and Kumasi and its adjoining areas. Now, outside these areas, we do have communities, cities, and towns. And social distancing was always encouraged. Now, post the period where we were advised for social distancing, this is what has been done in Takrady. So you go to most markets in Takrady and the precincts, you will find that traders or those displaying their wares are doing that, but within a certain demarcated area, well demarcated or marked. You could see the lines on the floor. Could also see how they're spaced just to encourage social distancing. And of course, the encouragement of residents was also that if you want to go to the market, you have to put on mask. And these face masks were supposed to enhance related issues of interactions and social distancing. We've not seen many MMDCs implement this, but we thought that we would want to touch on this. We think it's a good idea. So we want to interact with the man himself, the Metro boss for Takrady. And we do have Anthony K. Sam on the line. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, sir.
And it's quite innovative what you've done there, Mr. Sam. How did all this come about? I curiously will have to ask.
Thank you. You know, when the president made the announcement, and per the advice of our health directorate, we know very well that social distancing is very important as this epidemic is concerned. So we met the market women and advised them that this is the issue. For us to stay safe, let us practice the social distancing. So we took about a week to teach them. Then thereafter, we implemented. So we took some of the traders selling around the market sector, and we sent them to Dublin Park, where we had all this education and the rest. So every trader had a space to herself. And the roads and the rest were well. So if you are going to buy, you easily enter there, do what you want to do, then get that safety.
Now, since you are the MC, it means that you have a lot of powers, so it makes it easy. So it means that you did consultation and what? What really did you do before the whole implementation process started?
Before, we met with the PEDSEC and we explained to them how we are going to face this pandemic. So the ideas came up and we put some on the routes. We started following the plan. Then we saw that social distancing was very, very important. So we started with our NCC going around and educating the people in the market, the information ban going around, the media around. We held the press and we asked them to help us to educate the general public. So thereafter, we put the media together and we started doing. So all the market women, the market, they all bought into the stakeholder idea that these people have to move there for us to obey social distance.
Now, we do know that sometimes policies, especially in bigger cities, if they have to start off, become slow. How did this one go?
Normally, it's the case. Like I said, the moment that the president came out with the permission, we quickly brought together the message, the management of STM, with permission from the regional minister and the health department. Then we started to roll these measures. And later, we brought in the market things and the rest. And you know, education is paramount. So we started educating the general public.
Okay. And so far, what has been the cooperation of residents? How have they patronized these centers that you have?
Oh, fantastic. They have been enjoying it because where they are there, where they are now is temporary. So they have moved there and it's very special. When you drive in at your work, you park at a special area, go in, you buy without touching anybody, and people are very happy. So people are very, very comfortable. And we thank the good people of security for adhering to this practice. If you keep on doing this going forward, the lockdown will not affect us.
And so you just let them go through, they just come in as quickly as possible, or you tend to let them wait a bit? I'm asking this question because when you go to, let's say, the malls, and I'm sure it's also been experimented in the main mall that you have in your metropolitan area, they make customers wait. How is this done?
It's true, we have been doing that. We've educated the operators of the supermarkets at the post, the number of people that should enter at the time. So if the people are up to them, they make the rest stay behind. And our monitoring team is up and doing 24/7. They're always up. So if you don't want to, they will bring you online.
There's a bigger issue of how you will make sure people follow through, knowing that once they have seen this as the phenomenon, then they're going to troop into the markets like it was the usual time or in droves. So is this something that the administration is very wary of, and how are you making sure that you combine the education with it?
Yes, like I said, we are monitoring. So every now and then we are part of them. See what is happening. If there's a problem, we keep being identified. And the leadership of the markets are in constant engagement with them. And we have the mobile vans and the rest of the announcement, reminding them, especially telling them the effect of the social gathering. If you don't, make the rest. So we are always moving on for that.
What about smaller markets in other adjoining communities that are just within your jurisdiction? What do you do? Let's say if there's no space or you haven't started yet, when do you intend to do with that?
We started all en block. You know, we have another big market, secondary. And secondly, on Tuesday, started the market. So we have a football field by Ipas just across the bridge. So we have moved a section of the traders to Equasi Park. And we have done the social for them. And they are gladly enjoying it by the We have the same thing at Kujukrom. It's a fast-growing area. So you know that you don't cash in on the fun ones. So there's a park at the, you know, schools are on break and those social gatherings. So we have the advantage of using such areas. So they are making the block breaking. You know, when they bring the goods from farm gates, they have to break it into smaller units. So the traders go there to buy the campus. So some even stay there and do their stuff. So they are doing the social distance there as well. You go to Cancerodo, you've done the same thing. You go to Suffolcrome, you've done the same thing. So we have not left the smaller markets out.
Very commendable. Now, on a related issue, this time not on markets, but having holding areas or holding centers or for quarantine purposes, places where people could be kept and be monitored, etc. And this is directly related to health. I'm asking this question because of the agitations of residents of the Afutu area and then also of Cape Coast. How is that situation in your area? What policy have you taken or decision have you taken on that?
Thank you. The directives from the regional position, we are asked to look for hotel, bed, and quarantine. And per the directive from the of we have to look for some schools around which quarantine. And we have done that with the assistance of the Ministry of Health or the Metro Directorate of Health. We have done all these things and they have them ready. So anytime this thing happens, people could easily be quarantined.
The reports from the two areas that are cited earlier is that there were no prior consultations with other occupants or perhaps even residents that are joining these schools or these areas that you have identified. Have you done yours in such a way that there will not be any agitations?
Yes. The issue is that we have the Metro Director of Education, Metro Director. The first day the directive came, you could remember it was Friday night. So early Saturday morning at 9 o'clock, we all met at the administration and took it. So they helped us to identify it.
Well, thank you very much. We have to let you go. Commendable work you've done so far with the spacing out or the layouts of the markets at spaces or in places you think are free for this exercise. And we hope that all of us will cooperate in that manner. And others within the MMDC sector or the local government structure will also learn from you. And we've been speaking to the Metropolitan Chief Executive for Sekondi Takoradi, Anthony K-Sam, helping us with that discussion as well. And well, that'll be it for now. But our next interaction is with a family. We want to have a family setting in which we want to gauge how do they commune with God and do all those relational issues with their makeup. Stay with us. We'll have those discussions with Mama Vio Sabwaje.
Well, thanks for still staying with us here on the AM show. A couple of things that we'll be doing. We will go to Kumasi to check with the market. If you've been watching in Accra and Kumasi, some markets get closed when they don't recognize or social distance, when they don't do things appropriately, the reason for the lockdown. So we'll be checking with Kumasi in a bit. But I asked earlier what families are doing differently this year, considering we've been on holiday really for a lot of you for the past 2 weeks, and we're continuing. So we'll go on Skype. We want to talk to one family, the Lord Menses, and let's find out what they're doing this Good Friday on a holiday. So I've got Sefam, I've got Lord, and the kids joining us. If you can hear me, hello to you all.
Hello, Mama B.
Hi. I see you just finished with your workouts. Run us through. What have you been doing all morning?
So for our normal day on a Good Friday, a normal day on a Good Friday, we did cleaning. The kids join us for our workout. I'm planning to cook something nice, either soup for fufu, of course, or some rice, the usual thing, and then we stay indoors. So basically, that is it for us today.
Okay. What's up for breakfast?
Breakfast, the kids will fix their own breakfast.
Okay.
Lord would wait till...
I'll skip breakfast.
We'll wait till afternoon and eat his fufu, of course. And
okay.
I'll probably join him for the fufu myself. I know I'm struggling with the weight. That is the challenging aspect of the lockdown. Any exercise you try in the house, it seems your body is not responding. So I keep piling the weight, so it's becoming a challenge. So I'm trying to stay off. But you know, as women, we always to the kitchen.
Yes.
We are eating like no man's business.
Yeah.
3 square meals a day.
Yeah, that is work. You know, we have to be paid. I don't know if Lord can hear this, but we also we need some stimulus. Like something must give.
Hello.
Lord, so I was saying, so now we can bring your, like, this is like a lecture, if you like. Women must get some incentives as well, because we're all cooking. Like, we've become permanent mummies. Mommy breakfast, mommy lunch, mommy what's up for dinner. We need some stimulus.
Oh, yeah. I mean, probably, you know, it's a pass-through thing. So if the government increases the salaries, obviously, or it sends stimulus packages from the government.
No, I wasn't referring to that. I wasn't referring to that at all. Okay, just before I leave you guys, what are you reflecting on today?
Okay, so I remember last year, Lord was out on a training section and came back Thursday late in the night because some families over had a good time. And throughout the year, we are grateful. No major sickness, nothing of that sort. And our families are okay. The community we live in is peaceful. And everything, it might not be as we want it to be, but hey, we are moving one step at a time. And for that, and knowing that the Good Friday represents the death of Christ, the foundation of our belief as Christians. So it's more of a sober reflection for us and being grateful that despite everything we've done throughout the year, we are still alive and we are sound and our children are doing well and Mother Ghana is also moving. So it's something we appreciate a lot.
Great. It's all about the grace, isn't it?
Yeah,
can I just say hello to the kids? Can they hear me?
Yes, they can.
Yeah.
Okay.
Come and say hello.
Hello.
Hi. Happy holiday. But do you know why it's a holiday? Obviously, yes.
Do you know why it's a holiday?
You don't know why it's a holiday.
Okay.
Okay.
So what are you thinking about on a day like this?
Today is a day to mourn the death of Jesus Christ.
What does it mean to you?
It means that Jesus Christ died on the cross to save us from our sins. So we have to thank him for what he has done.
Nice. I like that. I like the lessons you're giving me. Anybody wants to support?
Like my sister said, it's a time. Like my sister said, it's a time on Jesus, and then thank him for dying, thanking him for shedding his blood for us.
Okay.
We are all sinners, and God has sent his only begotten Son to die for us, to save our sins. And no one on this earth could ever do the same thing as Jesus did. So it's a day to thank him.
Fantastic. I like the way you break it down for all of us. Thank you. Can I, because there's one more.
Yeah.
Okay, so what are the boys doing today?
What is the boys doing today? The boys,
Okay.
Okay.
He is waiting for his breakfast, after.
Okay, so let me.
Whatever you say.
So let me take my questions away now. Thank you for allowing us into your homes and what you're doing today. It's 25 minutes after 8. He should be having his breakfast. So I'll take leave of you.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Enjoy the day.
Thank you.
Right.
All right. So great. So that's Sefama Lord on what they're doing today. There's no church today. Everything is virtual. So we want to catch up and find out what the rest of the plan will be throughout the day on a Good Friday. But I'm asking you the same question. What are you doing today? How are you making today different from yesterday, considering we've been home all this while? It's a Good Friday. What has changed? How are you making it memorable? How are you reflecting on the day? You can give me a call on 0302-211-6912, 0302-211-6912. Give me a call. Let's talk about what's happening. What are you doing today? What's the family up to today on a Good Friday? Does it even feel like a Good Friday? We will be going to church live here on the show. Quite a number of services online as well. So we'll be touching base and, to hear a bit of the word and reflect on the reason today is a holiday. So you have to stay with us here on the AM show. But give me a call on 0302-211-6912. Okay, so talk about church. We're taking you live now to Paris.
Because when you go to the cross, you will change. Easter starts with the cross. Before the empty tomb. Before he was crowned, he had to die. When Jesus was on earth, he announced both his death, which is the cross, and his resurrection. Jesus willingly went to the cross. As he talked to his disciples, he talked about his destiny of ending on the cross and rising from the dead. They did not understand it, but he embraced it by faith. Jesus knew if he died, he will be raised. So he went to the cross. This morning I want to quickly look at some of the benefits when he went to the cross that we derive from the cross, especially his blood. In Revelation chapter 12 verse 11, it says they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony, and they did not love their lives to the death. They overcame him by the blood of the Lamb, the blood of Jesus. You know, Jesus at his baptism, John the Baptist said, "Behold the Lamb of God who has come to take the sins of the world." Jesus, when he went to the cross, Jesus, when he came, he shed his blood. And there are 7 places where he shed his blood. That means a lot to you and me. Everything Jesus went through was for your benefit and my benefit. The first place where Jesus shed his blood was in his circumcision. In Luke chapter 2 verse 21, the Bible says when he was 8 days old, he was circumcised as a child, and his name was called Jesus, just like the angel has said before he was conceived. And the Bible says in Galatians chapter 5 verse 3 that I testify again to every man that is circumcised that he is a debtor to do the whole law. You see, we were supposed to obey the 10 commandments, the law of God. But Jesus shed his blood at circumcision to keep all the law without blemish, so that we can have power to live above the law, so that we will have the ability to live above the law. In Matthew chapter 5 verse 17, Jesus said, don't think that I am come to destroy the law or the prophets. I am not come to destroy but to fulfill. Oh, Jesus fulfilled the law so that you and I will have the ability to be able to fulfill the law. He did it because left to you and I, we couldn't have fulfilled the law. We don't have the capacity and the ability, because God is a perfect God. And so it had to take Jesus to fulfill the law, so that you and I, by our faith in him, we can live above the law. Give him praise, give him thanks, give him praise. The second place Jesus shed his blood was when he was sweating in the Garden of Gethsemane. When he went into the Garden of Gethsemane to pray, where he prayed that faithful prayer, Lord, if it is your will, let this cup pass away from me. However, not my will, but Lord, your will be done. In Luke chapter 2 verse 44, Luke chapter 2 verse 44, it says, and Jesus being in agony, he prayed more earnestly, and his sweat were great drops of blood falling to the ground. You see, Adam lost our inheritance in the Garden of Eden, but Jesus regained that inheritance for us in the Garden of Gethsemane. Because in the Garden of Gethsemane he sweated blood.
The crucifixion of Jesus, his death at Calvary, that's what the day represents. You heard there a little bit of what's going on for Perez Chapel, streaming online as well. What are your own plans? What are you doing? Send me a picture. Let me see what you're eating, for instance. You can send me a family photo on our WhatsApp number, which will be on the screen shortly. But first, I want to take you to the Transformation Assembly, where we're joining Reverend Fred Crunchy-Mensah for his online service on a Good Friday.
Come your way again with his word, and I thank you for giving us a space in your life. Thank you so much once again. Today is Good Friday. Oh wow, it's so amazing. Good Friday is a very significant day in the life of every believer and every child of God. It is the day we remember what Jesus went to do on the cross. It is a day we remember and appropriate it, believe in it, and enjoy from it. I want to share something with you from the book of John chapter 3, a conversation between a Pharisee, a very influential person, and Jesus Christ. John chapter 3 verse 14 downwards. as Moses lifted up the serpent in the wilderness, so must the Son of God be lifted up, that whoever believes in him may have eternal life. 16. For God so loved the world that he gave his only Son, that whoever believes in him should not perish but have eternal life. For God did not send his Son into the world to condemn the world, but in order that the world might be saved through him. 18. Whoever believes in him is not condemned, but whoever does not believe is condemned already, because he has not believed in the name of the only Son of God. I'm so excited about today. This is a brief conversation between Jesus, the Messiah, the Son of God, and Nicodemus, a very influential person in his time. Now, Nicodemus was a Pharisee, very influential person, rich, affluent. Now, he comes to Jesus at night because probably he was ashamed to come during the day for people to associate him with spirituality or with Jesus. Then he comes to him and he says, I perceive that beyond this life, there is another life. I perceive that life is not just about being born into a family, growing up in a family, and then going to school, being educated, or going to learn a trade, and then once you have finished, you look for a job, then you look for a spouse, you start giving birth to children, you raise the children, you think about property, and then you go on retirement, and then you wait, enjoy retirement until death comes to take you. He says this is a form of life, but I'm beginning to think that there is a life beyond this form of life. There is a higher life. And indeed there is, my dear friend. All there is to life is not what I have talked about. If it is titles, then lions also have life, because the lion is the king of the jungle. He has a title. If it is spouse, if it is influence, no, life goes beyond that. Scripture says it is appointed unto every person to live once and to die once, and after that death there is judgment. There is judgment. Now Jesus is very concerned about Nicodemus, because he sees that Nicodemus wants to know something beyond this life. So he takes his time to talk with him right from John chapter 3 verse 1. He talks to him about the concept of being born again. He explains to him. Then when he got to verse 14, he goes a little deeper into what we call typology in theology. He says, as Moses lifted up the serpent in the wilderness. Hold on. As Moses lifted up the serpent in the wilderness. Then it takes us to Numbers chapter 21, where there was where there was a situation. The Israelites were going from the place of bondage to the promised land, and along the line now they got to Edom. Now the Edomites were the cousins of the Israelites, but when they got there, these guys were so threatened and intimidated by the nation of Israel that they said, no, we can't allow you to get through our country. So they had to make a detour. They had to go around Edom, and then that was so difficult. And Scripture says they became discouraged because of the way. They became impatient. They became discouraged because the way was so difficult. The process to get to
Reverend Fred Crunchy Mensah there with his online service. Quite a number of them ongoing right now. When we come back, we want you to share with us what you're doing today. So send me those photos. Well, send us those photos, what it is that you're doing today. And then you can also give us a call. We'll be back, Roland and myself, after this. It's just a painful reminder of what it could have been. We showed you how Kwewu looked like last year by this time with the paragliding festival. But we know that the traditional council there called off the celebrations, all the celebrations that come with it, obviously because of the coronavirus. Roland Walker, we were there like what, 10 years ago?
Yeah.
This same spot?
Yeah, the same spot.
Yeah.
We're doing a production together. So from there, I think from there went to Cape Coast and some of our areas. But it speaks volumes about how this has become a mainstay of the reveling period for the ordinary Ghanaian. And Easter is celebrated massively, especially in the eastern and Volta regions, but now has become a mainstay as part of the celebration year for all Ghanaians. And so almost everybody celebrates Easter.
Yeah. So I'm sure we're all wondering, perhaps you are, how does the place look like today? Knowing all the things we could have done today. We're going to take you to Nkoko Junction. I remember the first time, no, the Nkoko Township itself, I beg your pardon. I remember the first time we drove there, it was all traffic, heavy traffic. So here we go with how the place looks like. What you see there is how Nkoko looks like today, but we know what it could have been if not for COVID-19.
Yeah,
it would have been a whole different story.
Yes, it would have been packed before now, because I remember on the other side of my job, we're having some interaction with Casa Precon to offer some services for them, because they wanted to do some promotions some few weeks, if not some few days before the Easter. So they will start with Kwewu, and then they'll do the promotions subsequently after the Easter period. And it was going to be massive. It would have started in March, subsequently just transitioning through the period of the Easter at Kwewu. And you know, when you go to the mountains up there in Kwewu, you'll see houses that are beautiful than the ones you have in Trazako or Eastleigh Gone.
In fact, I think for some of us, maybe we're a little fortunate. We won't even sleep in hotels. I mean, you'd sleep in the home. That is equivalent to a hotel, like a 4-star hotel, if you like.
They have the indigenes being some of the richest people in our country, and they tend to exhibit that with very plush or lavish homes that are up the mountains. And it's a place that I know, for example, Brian Champong, the Member of Parliament also within the area, and a minister has also decided to make Kwewu and that area a mainstay of tourism, other forms of recreation as well.
Okay, so unfortunately no celebrations in Kwewu, but let's speak to Maxwell Kudako, who knows this area very well. Maxwell will tell us about Koforidua, because ordinarily drivers would be loading to Kwewu and its environs like on a day like this. So Maxwell joins us via Skype, by the way. Maxwell, happy holiday to you. Describe what it is like today.
Well, normally, ordinarily on the Easter the import station in Koforidua, you see a very strong will be water or vehicles in Koforidua. But the narrative very, very far from how it is. About the Koforidua and Koforidua, and almost as empty or as silent as a cemetery. I've been here for more than 1 hour, and the van that has been on stage for 1 hour. You can count just about 10 people in the vehicle. Yesterday we did a check at Nkoko on a normal festivity. From Thursday, a lot of people convert in that of when mostly would do the council Yesterday, from Linda to there was activity. When we got to the as of evening, the town was set as cemetery, and even this morning, there's no action or there's no indication to show that suffering is all because of the COVID-19 and the ban of movement is by the Nkoko Traditional Camp. Now we will talk to some few at the and find out how business are being from yesterday. So let me quickly this gentleman. Who are there in Nkoko Station? Station master. Say what he is appear no one. Obeka say
where the where the atsa say ya and can I.
Unfortunately, we lost the connection to Maxwell Kodako, speaking to a station manager at Koforidua who would usually be in charge loading people to Kwewu. Well, I mean, unfortunately, no celebrations. But it doesn't mean we should be sad. We're still very happy because of the grace. I mean, I hope that we can all reflect on this day and be gracious, Roland Walker, because God has been good to us.
Yes, and we'll continue while we do the necessary linkages that we always have, that intimate time we have with our Maker or God, also abiding by what the rules are as have been adopted by the Ghana Health Service, and also greatly once again emphasized by the President in his last address.
Let's get on to some messages. J. Jomis in Hohoi says, good morning. Today being a Good Friday. Ideally, I would have joined my family to go to church, but due to the self-isolation and the COVID-19 pandemic, I am home now working on some stories to be published soon. All right, J. Jom, good luck with that. This one says, today is a very special day for all Christians. My family is celebrating today as a special one. We're going to read about the life of Christ. It's from Ojaba, from Elmina, sending this message. Let's see what else we have. This one says, my Easter is not a good one. We are in cold moments. This is Bleobi Mahama Andam Andan from Tamale. Says, Roland, I want to put on record that our doctors must be honest. Okay, I see where you're going with this, but that's not the question we asked. This one says, good morning.
So it will be
please, we, the people of Abokobiga East, did not receive any food since the lockdown. We're not part of the lockdown like you're asking. Please inform the minister for us. Well, so there's a toll-free number, 0800 800 0900 900. Kindly call, and they will take your concerns. Okay. Some more messages on our WhatsApp page. This one says, thank God is Good Friday in COVID-19. I'm appealing to all the miracle and healing power pastors to come to the aid of all the... okay, all right. I see where you're going with this as well. So let's go to the phone line. Roland.
Yeah, definitely. And as we have to go to the phone lines, we'll quickly go to Kombiahe. And it's where we have Idrisu calling from. Idrisu, good morning. Idrisu?
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning. Please lower the volume on your set, on your TV.
Okay.
Have you done that?
My name is Frank Kojo. Hello.
Okay,
yeah,
so you are Frank. You're calling from Ayumensa.
Yes, please.
Okay, please go ahead. Any message you have for the Easter season?
Actually, today is my birthday.
Oh, happy birthday to you, Frank.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday to you, Frank.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And
talking about birthday, I'll give a wish right now. But Frank, after you.
And I thank God for all of us. And then Mother Ghana, though the way we expected it is not happening that way. But then we give thanks to God still. We don't know what would have happened if this thing hasn't come. This COVID-19 hadn't come to us. God does his own thing in his own mind and ways. He knows what is good for his children.
Yes.
So I pray I pray for the entire nation, I pray for the president, I pray for you, TV3, and all your colleagues, the teams that you are working together. Today is a very quiet moment for all of us. Should have been, we were planning to go out, but unfortunately, the situation at hand, we couldn't do that. So
Yeah.
Okay, Frank.
We'll do it in the house.
All right.
Make it
Frank.
Okay.
Frank.
Enjoy your birthday, Frank.
Thank you.
Enjoy your birthday.
And
Frank.
Easter. I wish all of us happy Easter.
All right.
Friday.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Frank. Roland, Frank has to go.
Yeah,
Thank you, Frank.
I wanted to correct him. This is JoyNews.
You two can give us, but they're all our colleagues, so that's fair.
Yesterday was the birthday of a sweet son of mine. He's the son of a good friend of mine, Caesar Bagali. You're based in Wa, working for the Ghana News Agency, but your original home is in Tamale. You're there with your wife, Adriana Aria, and the siblings of the birthday boy. And we have Idora and Elena, but it's the birthday of Rennie, I will say Abagali of the Little Flower School Complex in Tamale. I wish you a blessed year.
All right. Let's go to the phone lines again to Asante Mampong. Hi, I don't want to make an attempt to pronounce your name. Good morning to you. Tell us who you are.
You push the authority to step up and do it at that place.
Hello? May I know who we're talking to? Hello?
Yeah, hello?
Yes.
Oh, hi. May I know your name, please?
Yeah, I am Titan, calling from Azantemambo.
Okay, great. Let's hear you. I thought you were talking to a certain authority. We're talking about Easter. We want to know what you're up to today.
Okay. I enjoy your show, and then I would like to tell all my Christian brothers and sisters to let us exercise patience and then take this as God willing, not our making, and do pray at our home, and also observe the directive from government.
All right.
So that we all pray that at the end of the pandemic, we're still alive and then continue our work. But I'm having a problem.
Okay.
I went to Ejra last week, and in fact, most of the communities there, they are not observing the social distancing that government has directed. And I want you to take the platform and then educate them, especially the authorities. I went to particularly Ejra Kwanta, and lo and behold, the Muslims there still worship 3 times a day. They meet and worship in the dawn, afternoon, and evening. And most particularly the youth, they still meet in the evening for training. I even videoed some of them. I went to the committee chairman there, and he told me that he hasn't received any letter that would let them educate their people that this is what is happening. And I asked him that, don't you have a television?
Okay.
So
all right.
I'm talking out of, nervous.
We get you. That's good information. So we'll do the necessary follow-ups.
Yeah, Titan.
So my dear Mama V and then Roland, do me a favor and then signal the authority of a draft, particularly just as District 2, to intensify the education.
All right, we'll get our man. Fortunately, that's Maxwell's area as well. So we'll get our colleague to do a follow-up on that. We thank you for your call. Emil is in Kumasi. Good morning.
Mama V.
Yes, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning. I like the sound of that. Happy holiday. You are in the spirit.
Happy holiday too. Well, indeed we are in the spirit. You know, we are not normal days, but the sacrifice of Jesus is what we are remembering.
Absolutely.
And we must endeavor to sacrifice in this period where the lockdown or the restriction of movement has been extended remotely. And so let's all, in that spirit of sacrifice, in that spirit of oneness, unity, let us pray and ask that God would deliver us from this abnormality.
Amen, Emil. Amen. Thank you very much for sharing. Roland?
We have to go to Kwabenya. Nana Kwame is a resident there. Nana Kwame, good morning to you. How are you spending Easter? Lockdown.
Oh, Nana Kwame's line has been locked down, so we don't get to speak to him. But Rafiq Salam, our colleague,
is also celebrating.
It's your birthday today, Rafiq Salam. Happy birthday to you. I wish I could sing to you on your birthday. Unfortunately, my voice doesn't sing quite well. So
and you know,
we're wishing you God's blessings. Roland, let me speak to Alex. Alex is in Caprice. Good morning, Alex.
Good morning, how are you doing?
I am very well. How are you?
Thank God for life.
Yes, absolutely. So let me ask you, what have you had for breakfast today?
Not yet.
Are you doing the cooking yourself?
No, I'm locked down somewhere.
Oh, child. So, you're locked down somewhere?
Yeah, in my workplace, my family was at JoyNews. Get ready to go and get some water at the roadside. The problem.
Allah.
Charlie, sorry. Okay, so speak to your family.
My wife, Emilia, my sister, Yaira. I say I love you so much. And then go to my family from Sukwe and then all my friends.
Oh, Alex, I wish I had food. I would have, because you're Capra is just next door to us.
You're putting me off.
Thank you so much for reaching out. Okay, enjoy the holiday. Daniel is in Damfa.
Yes, Damfa, just after the Adenta barrier. Daniel.
Yeah, what's up?
Chaladeo, how are you marking the Easter?
Charlie, not bad though.
Are you observing the social distance?
I don't get money, so I sleep small. So I will push the day ahead.
But in the lockdown, do you need money? What would you use it for?
But you have to go and buy food stuff, and market has closed, so I have to sleep. So I will push the little I have at that. It can be able to sustain me for the rest of another week.
Oh, but Daniel, this one no be. Just go Momo loan. You go carry something from there. 1 month time, then you pay. This one no be anything.
But my girl, I called you to, they pick my calls. But all the same, guys, happy Easter to you guys.
Okay, that's a score you settle off there. Thank you, Daniel. Now take him off.
Daniel be bad guy, Allah.
Okay. You should sort him out.
So
let's read some. Roland, I have this one up that I've opened. Let me read it. Okay. So I think it's Titan. Titan called us with the information. Yeah.
All right, so I have this one from the wife of Rafiq Salam, and it says, a friend, a father, a brother, above all, a husband. You are my superhero. I always choose you above anybody. And on this special day, I pray that Allah Almighty grants you guidance, protection, grant you good health, long life, and grant you all your heart desires.
Amen.
I will always love you till the end. Hey. Happy birthday, sweetheart. By Hajia Princess Shahida Salam.
Alhaji from Rafiq Salam. Happy birthday to you, Rafiq. Let's run you through some of the messages. This one says, good morning, Mama B. Roland. By now we should be at church, but because of COVID-19, my family and I are indoor playing hymns on organ and singing. Nice feeling though, but it could have been more lovely at church. God takes this sickness from us. In Nkwanta.
Allah.
Hopefully I got your name right.
All right.
That's like truth.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, this one says, is the president's directive of schools to stay at home still in force, especially for those not part of the partial lockdown? I am in, no, this is Percy from Tamale. This one says, I am so grateful to the Almighty God for today. This is the time to remember our Lord and personal Savior. This Easter is a time of total love, but due to the pandemic in our country, we are all at home. Happy Easter. Yesterday was my birthday. Moses Billy from Central Region, Commander to be precise.
Happy birthday, belated though.
Belated, Moses. All right, Ron, you've got a message? Because I've got plenty of messages. This one says, the lockdown is good, but it's left to ask the citizens to abide by the rules, of the government, you say. This one says, I'm so grateful. No, I think I've read this one. This one says, happy Easter to you, my friend Roland. Keep the fire burning. But as the president did indicate, we're celebrating the opposite, but we can get the way of the cross on your line. I missed it. Aduko Samuel Yaro. Hopefully I read that message right. But can we say happy birthday to the birthday boy? Like, is he a birthday boy, a birthday man, or Alhaji birthday? Good morning, Rafiq Salam.
Hey, Rafiq, that's Princess Hajia Princess Shahida.
Hi, Rafiq.
Salam. Hello.
How are you,
Oh, I'm fine now. It's very terrific, and then everybody.
Yeah.
Though we're also having some kind of challenges regarding what is happening in the country.
Yeah.
Talking about COVID-19 and also CSM, which is
dealing
with the people here. We are fine.
How is the regional minister, Dr. Ben Sali?
Roland, it's Rafiq's birthday. Rafiq.
Dr. Ben Sali is fine, and in
seriously?
less than 2 hours I will be speaking to him about CSM.
I told you.
Yeah. Okay. So. Okay. I wanted to stay with the birthday, but you decided to stay with work. So let's talk about CSM because the number has gone up.
Yeah, the figures that we had yesterday somehow was frightening. You know, last week Sunday, per the figures that were given, 33 people were confirmed dead as a result of CSM, and then also the number was pegged at 204. I'm talking about confirmed cases. And as I speak to you now, yesterday, the update that we had was that 4 more people have lost their lives through CSM, and then also the number, the confirmed cases has also risen up to 247. So there are 2 districts. They are lying on the CSM belt. Talking about Nandom and then Nadoli.
Okay.
They are leading the pack.
All right.
The 2 districts are having.
Rafiq, it's okay. Even on your birthday, you're thinking of work.
Rafiq, hang on. That's very important news. We'll do a, we'll develop it on Newsdesk at 10. But right now, before we wrap up, we want to say happy birthday to you. We love you. We're proud of you. And we wish you the blessings of God on this day.
Thank you very much for the wishes. And I also wish you the best in life.
And say hello to Shahida for me.
Oh, Roland.
Oh, Shahida is fine. She's about driving. She's going to the War prison to do some donations.
Fantastic.
All right, Rafiq, happy birthday from the entire crew of the AM show to you. This is where we have to end the show, Roland Walker.
Yeah, definitely. And we wish all our viewers, everybody, happy Easter.
All right, we're walking now. We'll see you soon.